Hi everyone, and welcome to Food for Thought, proudly brought to you by Redhotblue. Now today we've got a wonderful man joining us, Mr. Jason Chetcuti. Welcome.
Thank you, Jody.
World-renowned fashion designer, reality star, TV show, extraordinaire, entrepreneur, and obviously our golden boy next door. So
thank you. That's
thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Yes. Now, Jason, we all know you, obviously, in the world of fashion, but can you share with us how you got started? Was it always something in school that you dreamed of doing, or how did you get into that?
Yeah, I think I had a natural aptitude towards a creative art. So when I was at school, I would spend lots of time drawing and creating, and I loved illustrating and everything to do with art. So primarily, I think a lot of my time away from the academic side, like I also enjoyed mathematics and graphics and things like that as well. So I sort of naturally or organically was drawn towards fashion design because it combined all the elements of what I really loved. So when you're creating a pattern, you use mathematics and geometry.
Yes.
And then I can create an illustration using colour, which is the artistic side of art. Yeah,
okay,
and then I was doing home economics as well.
Well,
so
I was going to say,
together.
Surely you would have been like the golden star of home ec in sewing.
Well,
were you A plus student?
I was an A plus student. I was exceptional. I was doing like ruched dresses with zips, and they were sort of like semi-couture style at that age because I had really skilled myself with the art
as opposed
of sewing.
to the straight skirt with the zip.
Exactly.
That most people,
So,
I was a home ec teacher's nightmare with
really?
sewing. Everything I did was a disaster. Hate it with a passion. So, that's awesome. I remember you. One of my first memories of you was the Student Festival of Fashion in Mackay. So 15 years of age or
around
younger?
15, yeah. So I started illustrating at around 14. I knew that was the direction that I was headed. And fortunately, a seamstress who recently passed, she mentored me with my dressmaking skills. So I was illustrating and she was teaching me how to cut and construct garments, and that was a real blessing. So a lot of what I created for that was assisted with this incredibly talented lady who was helping me along with my craft.
Wow, amazing. So after finishing school, did you head away and study, or what happened after school? Obviously you knew you wanted to be in that industry.
I was completely convinced that this was the industry for me. Yes. So in my senior year of school, year 12, I entered a competition called the Retailers Association of Queensland Fashion Awards, and I won a major award there. So it kind of solidified my journey in that direction. Everything was lining up. So I then, after winning that, I returned back to school famous. And then I received an invitation in the post from a French academy to do training there. So my father and mother and myself sort of pulled together resources, and my father travelled with me to France, and then I started learning technical skills of what the French couture houses, how they create clothing, because a lot of the mentors at the school would work at Yves Saint Laurent doing pattern cutting or making fur jackets. So the people that we were being instructed by were at a premium level of their career at that point in time.
So what a great start in your
Amazing
career.
start. Yeah.
And how long did you spend there?
I spent about 6 months there in total.
Right.
So it was a pretty intensive course.
And incredible that your parents obviously supported, obviously that sort of industry isn't something that everyone, breaks into successfully. So it's really nice that they had that support and
it was great
and believed in your vision and, to get to travel over there with you as well.
Yeah.
And so after that, where did you head then? Obviously you realised that, okay, this is for me.
Yeah. Then after that, I wasn't quite sure what the next step is. I think when you're in a creative industry, you have to constantly navigate your way through it, because unless you've had somebody who's been groundbreaking and paved the way, if your family doesn't have a background in fashion or they don't have a background in the arts, it's about exploring I was fortunate again. A Pioneer Permanent Building Society, who was a local company.
Yes, I remember them.
Yeah, they engaged me to design their corporate uniforms.
Right.
And then my first stockist in Mackay was Lambert's.
Oh,
so
gosh, yeah,
that's right. So
with
Lambert's.
the escalator.
That's right.
Yeah.
So Lambert's bought my first collection, and one of my very good friends, Maura Woodman, bought the pieces from the first collection.
So obviously a lot of innovation, a lot of having to think what's next, you know, how do I get people, you know, really looking at what I've got to offer and then taking each opportunity and each learning each time and turning that into something else. Yeah.
And I think also letting your instincts navigate you to that resource. I think we all know the outcome that we want to achieve, and the making it happen is part, I think, organic. I think things are drawn to you, as well as when you work hard, it kind of just gets you there.
Yeah. Now, obviously, you've been recognised through a lot of awards and, you know, quite a lot of high-end people who have sought you out to have, you know, garments made. Are there some real moments in your mind that, you know, some of the highlights of your career?
Yeah, I think so. I think some of the highlights have been my probably last 10 years, because I dressed many celebrities in that time. Like, I remember...
Come on, do some name dropping.
I don't want to do the name dropping.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's do it. Didn't take long.
Come on.
For Darren Hayes from Savage Garden, I created a whole stage outfit for him when he was performing in Sydney.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that was fun. And Natalie Portman had purchased an outfit from my store. Jessica Simpson.
Really?
Yeah, so she and her best friend came in, and she spent probably about 40 minutes just talking and trying clothes on, and she bought a leather bikini. So
as you do.
As you do.
So
and I actually, at that point in time, I didn't know she was a celebrity. I didn't know who she was. So one of my friends was like falling on his back, saying, "I'm not quite sure you realise who this is."
Yeah. Do you realise who's in your shop buying a leather bikini?
That's it.
That's fantastic.
And then the Miss Universe.
I was actually going to mention that, Miss Universe. So that was a spectacular gown that you created, and that was inspired by a region, wasn't it?
It was inspired by the Great Barrier Reef and the beauty of our ocean, and all of what we get to experience daily. We're pretty lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, amazing, you know, journey that you've had there and the things that you've just explained to us. But I would imagine there's been some pretty big challenges along the way too.
Yeah.
As in anyone's career, but also when you are actually having to be that entrepreneur and business person, and, you know, the creative head versus the analytical head.
Absolutely.
So, what are some of the challenges that you've encountered along the way?
Well, I think particularly in my industry, things have changed so much through the internet that the supply chain has changed dramatically. So now the manufacturer directly communicates with the consumer. So the consumer can access fashion at quite a rapid speed and for such a competitive price.
Yeah, right.
So I think as a creative person, the best thing you can do is maintain integrity in what you're doing. So I started making fine clothes in the beginning from fine fabrics, and using my creative style and flair to be able to translate that to such a beautiful experience. So that's how I've been able to sustain what I do, is through that very personalised service and getting a perfect fit, making sure it's flawless. And I like all those kinds of things. I think it's like eating fine food or drinking fine champagne. To wear something beautiful will also give you that feeling.
Well, it's the experience too, like you said, isn't it? I mean, buying something online is very clinical, and whether it fits the way you want it to. I know myself, you know, you might look at something on a rack, you put it on, you think that's hideous.
Yes.
You know, but what you're doing is actually customising to that individual.
Absolutely.
You know, personality, shape, all of the trends, all of those sorts of things.
Yeah.
So that's the experience and the journey that I think someone gets, which
Absolutely.
is very different to an online.
It's completely different.
Is there one particular era that stands out for you that was just cringeworthy that you think should never be seen?
Yes, absolutely. I think that part of the 80s was a little bit cringeworthy.
Yeah, that's my era.
A little bit. Yeah, around that time.
It is.
But I think it was a very, I think in terms of emotion, it was a wonderfully expressive time. And that's something that I think everybody can relate to who's in that demographic.
Oh yeah, I got plenty of photos.
Absolutely. And I think from the 80s onward, I could see the trend in fashion simplifying in style. It became a little bit more about less is more rather than more is more.
Do you follow a sort of trend or style? Are there influences from what's happening out there in the marketplace that filter through into what you're doing?
I think so, yeah, absolutely. Because I think with the fashion industry, it relies on shoe trends, jewelry trends, fabric trends. So a lot of these particular designers do so much research about colour and what the colour prediction is and all of that. So you can't help but be almost guided in a certain direction based on the trends. However, I always use my sense of style and elegance and generally things which are timeless to complement those characteristics rather than following the trends, because the garments that I make, I love to do such a classically beautiful job that the wearer will be able to pull the dress out in 10 years and be able to wear it again. I think there's something beautiful about that's how it was done in the past. I think that's beautiful.
Absolutely.
I don't particularly feel like I reference any designer's style at this point, because I think I've been doing this for about 23 years now. So
you reference your own.
I reference my own. Exactly. So also with fabric, the fabric that I purchase, you have to use, there's a certain skill set which is required to see a fabric and then translate it into a design. So I believe a lot of design is about reading a fabric.
Okay, that's interesting. So for you, it's not about the outfit and, you know, the drawings, but it's about the fabric, and that sort of leads the way.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So at this point in my design career, that's how I work best. So initially, when I first started, I would illustrate with a concept in my mind. Now I know what I see. Like if I see a beautiful piece of fabric and I can see the way it's all positioned on the fabric, then when I look at it, it translates into a creative idea.
Okay.
Then I can illustrate that down, and then I can start to see that in 3D form. So it's all basis. It starts by being inspired by an idea. If I see a piece of fabric and it could have an oriental twist to it, then I can start to dream about a piece of art or a piece of film or literature, and then start to create something based on that.
So it's your canvas, essentially,
it's the canvas, and I'm creating 3D canvases. And that's why I particularly like this art form, because I get to see people wearing and walking in it. And I think that's amazing.
That is really incredible. You have travelled the world, you've had such huge successes, but yet you still call Mackay home. You still come back to grassroots.
Yes.
And are so down to earth and humble and level-headed with it all. You truly have a passion about your region where you grew up, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I think I have a really strong connection with it, because it has, I think people are incredibly warm, and I think the community here are so incredibly supportive of people doing what they love. From the very early days of starting my career, people created opportunities and helped me get to this point and experience those really high, experiences. So I have a connection with it.
But I think it's a rarity too. You know, I think you are very rare in the sense that the fact that you still do come back home and remember those things, you know. But in amongst all of that, you also get to travel a lot. And you are actually travelling again soon.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Where
right.
are we headed this time?
I'm headed to Sri Lanka
Okay.
to start a new journey, and then I plan to travel through India a little bit and start to create a new collection. So a new resort wear collection, combining beautiful fabrics.
So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. So Jason, obviously, you know, perception to the world is that the fashion industry is such this glamorous place to be a part of. But for a person behind the scenes, the creator, the person, you know, coming up with the ideas, the inspiration, the hours of work that go into some of your garments, that must be sometimes a bit of a lonely space.
Yeah, it's an interesting combination because so much in the development of making a garment, it just requires so many hours. So it goes from the pattern making stage where we've taken all the measurements and we lay it to geometry, then cutting of the calico, what we call a toile, so it's like a mock-up of the garment.
Right.
Then trying that on the client, refining the pattern, cutting fabric out, hand sewing and preparing all of that, fittings, and by the time you get to the end garment, it could be 100 hours up to 200 hours at least. So
you're spending predominantly by
myself, yeah.
Wow.
So there's whole days where I would hand sew without human interaction.
Without a break.
That's right.
Yeah, wow. And that's so how do you keep your, you know, mind stimulated? Because I know, obviously, being in the creative industry myself, I thrive on other creatives and that human interaction and bouncing ideas off people or clients or, you know, family members or whoever it might be. How do you get through those times then, you know, when you're just head
focused,
down, bum up, focused?
I love learning, so quite often I love to listen to audiobooks, so that will sort of be part of what I do. I have visits to the fabric store, my clients visit the fittings.
Yeah.
There are events which I also do, so it might be a pop-up shop or appearances for different things. So that, I think it all balances out. So I have enough social interaction to enjoy the solitude.
Okay. And do you ever rest?
No.
Jason? No. So when you're not creating for a client, are you then dreaming up the next style you might be creating? I know you mentioned with India, you know, you're really looking at the different fabrics and beading and things that you might be able to get done. So your mind obviously is always going about what's my next collection.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm always thinking, okay, well, what's next? What's the future? What can I do to reinvent, create, or what can I do to ensure that the people I'm making clothes for have a great experience, or they love what they're wearing, or how relevant is that to our time? So there's a thought process behind all of it, and it takes continual thinking to be able to continue doing this craft.
Yeah. So it's not a 9-to-5 job,
No,
Monday to Friday.
I don't think so. No.
It doesn't sound like
it's
it.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and every other day.
And
but I think I really enjoy it. I think if you didn't enjoy it, you wouldn't be motivated to
do something.
It's completely part of my lifestyle. So, you know, like events and socialising happens within my work and around my work.
Yeah. Excellent. Very good. Being able to go out amongst all the beauties. All right, so we're going to move on to our quick, quirky questions. Try and say that fast. So these are 5 questions. Don't think too much about it. Whatever comes to your mind. Okay, there's no right or wrong. So first one, favourite song? That's a tough one.
That's
Era,
a tough question.
maybe?
I really, really love the 1980s, and I think my all-time favourite song is the Earth Song by Michael Jackson. I think it's a phenomenal song. I think it's powerful, and the film clip is incredible. I think it's an amazing performance. So I would definitely say that.
Excellent. Good choice. Love the 80s. If a movie was written about you, what genre would it be?
I think it would be drama.
Drama?
No, I just say that. I don't know if it's drama.
Absolutely.
A little bit of drama.
A little bit of comedy.
Yeah, a little bit of comedy.
Favourite city?
I would
been to
say it's a real toughie. I mean, Paris is probably the most predictable, but I think the most energetic city is New York City. I think it's a city that I really love because I think you can go into a Starbucks and make friends in 5 seconds.
Yes.
I love
Excellent.
that.
Very good. Excellent. Okay, so this one's a little bit left field, a bit quirky.
Yeah.
Had to put a quirky one in there. If you could swim in any liquid,
Yes.
what would it be?
Champagne.
Champagne. I
think
love
it would
it.
be champagne.
And why? So you could just, drink your way
I just
out of
like the effervescence of it, and I think it's kind of excessive.
I think that should be something that you channel for your next fashion
I think
show.
So.
Big glass.
A champagne pool where the
Yes,
models
absolutely.
go swimming in the dresses.
Yes, that's it. I
That
can see
is
a fashion
good.
shoot coming on now.
Love that. We
I
need
have
a big budget.
We do. I have to ask this one. Favourite article of clothing? Your favourite article.
Okay, something that I own that I really love.
Yeah.
I think it's a jacket that I made recently for Married at First Sight.
Oh,
I
yes.
really love that because it's a French YSL silk which was purchased on a trip to Paris, and I handmade it, which I'm
It's
usually
stunning.
hand making everybody else's clothes. So
There's something
to be able to experience what that feels like to wear the clothing I make, I would say that's my favourite piece of clothing at the moment.
It is. It's stunning, and no one else has a jacket like that.
It's like a rare bird.
It is. It is. So now we've talked about the fact that you are vacating Mackay for a while, heading out to the big wide yonder to explore and hopefully come back. Do you plan on returning?
I plan on integrating Mackay and where another base is part of my work. So I'll still fly and do commissions, and so I see this as a development as being able to work from multiple places and be able to share my creativity and open that up to the greater world.
Excellent. Bring all those influences back to our
Absolutely.
region. I love
Absolutely.
it.
I'm excited about that.
And the other thing that we have the great pleasure of working on with you at the moment is your fashion book.
Yes.
So this has been something that's been a dream of yours for quite some time, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think when I was living in Sydney, I always had the thought of whatever I did in terms of an editorial or pictorial image that was created, I always had the vision of working towards producing a book. So I feel very privileged that we're working on this project together, and I can take 20 years of my design work and photographs and my biography and put it in a context so people can read about my early beginnings, because I think people, they've really followed my work over the years, and recently with my pop-up shop, I had clients and people that I've met, they said, I have to come get an article of clothing from you because I've been following your career for years, and I have your early clippings kept in a file, and for me that is a phenomenal thing that people would follow what I was doing and find significance in that for that period of time.
Really
so it's hugely special.
So your book will be an absolute star piece
I
once
think
we
so.
finally get it produced.
Absolutely, and I think it's looking sensational. I'm so excited about it.
I know it's like a designer's dream from a graphic design point of view. So it's been a pleasure for us to be able to be a part of that. An absolute honour, actually. Yeah. So stay tuned, everybody, for the Chetcuti book. Yes. Now, Jason, part of these food for thought segments is we choose a item that we feel represents our guest.
Yes.
Now, for you, if I dig down deep, we have chosen a coat hanger. Because obviously every garment of clothing must hang on something. That's right.
Absolutely.
However, our question to you is that if you could create or produce a new type of fabric, new different properties in it, what would it be, and what might you create with it, or what might you be able to do with it?
Okay, well, I can answer that. I think the fabric...
Oh, you've been thinking about this.
Oh,
You?
yeah.
This
This
isn't a
is
new
the
topic.
next design. Let's refresh the SD card. So I think what I find amazing is if I was to develop a fabric, it would be based on Lycra.
Okay.
Because I think in the modern age, wearing Lycra, it's such a comfortable, flexible, comfortable material, but I would have a Lycra fabric that you could transform. So something which is pliable and holds its shape.
Okay.
So then you could take an activewear outfit,
Yeah.
and then you could almost pull the fabric or
So you put muscles into
Exactly. Or you could, let's say you had to go for a business meeting, you might be able to pull shoulder pads into it, or manipulate that fabric to be a collar, or make a peplum based on just stretching the fabric and having it hold its form.
You could have some real fun with that, couldn't you?
I think so.
I'm conjuring up all sorts of shapes.
Ideas.
that
Square
blouses.
So I think that would be a really fun,
I like it.
textile idea.
And an array of colours, I'm thinking.
I'd just make it in black.
Just black?
Just black.
Okay. Probably a bit more flattering.
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
I think just black.
All right. Well, we look forward to that fabric being produced. Okay, I'm happy to be your guinea pig.
Research and
development. Absolutely. Excellent. Jason, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure, Jody.
And we wish you all the very best on your travels.
Thank you.
We know you'll be a success no matter where you go, just by being you.
Oh,
and we look forward to having you back here soon.
Look forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.